Hi, I'm Ted Price from Insomniac Games. Welcome to Fuse. This video is all about bringing you up to date on the story, the characters, the unique weapons in the game, and some of the special features you'll only find in Fuse. So let's get started. Fuse begins with an unlikely team of mercenaries being called to action by the US government. One of the government's covert installations, Hyperion Base, has gone dark. For reasons unknown to the team, unconventional forces are being brought in. This team of mercenaries is called Overstrike 9. Overstrike 9 is the group governments hire when plausible deniability is paramount. In this case, the shadowy figure hiring Overstrike 9 wants to keep the contents of Hyperion secret from other branches within the US government. Once inside the underground facility, the team discovers that Hyperion has been ransacked. They see strange devices in the partially destroyed base. They encounter experiments gone haywire. What's powering these experiments is an alien substance called Fuse, and at first it's an enigma. What players learn quickly is that it's vicious, aggressive, and highly unstable. Yet scientists in Hyperion have figured out how to do much more with Fuse, and in the first few minutes of their mission, the team takes possession of experimental weapons powered by this alien substance. But the existence of Fuse isn't a complete secret. In fact, Hyperion Base is being attacked by Raven, a rogue paramilitary group intent on stealing the source of Fuse. During the first level of the game, Raven and Overstrike are racing to that Fuse source. Overstrike 9's leader is Dalton Brooks. Early in Hyperion, he picks up the Mag Shield, our first Fuse-powered weapon. Now before going into what the Mag Shield does, let's talk about who Dalton is. Dalton is physically and psychologically the tank of the group. His answer to most problems is use of brute force. A former mercenary for Raven, the rogue paramilitary group invading Hyperion, he was trained by Captain Malin Mao, who's the one leading those troops into the facility.
His heart is racing.
We meet Malin in the first level, and then later in the game we learn more about Dalton and Malin's former relationship. Now with the Mag Shield, Dalton's role as the group's tank is enhanced. Let's see why. The Mag Shield is a result of combining Fuse and ferrofluid. Fuse shapes the ferrofluid into a portable shield. In its most basic form, the Mag Shield protects Dalton and his teammates. But the shield also builds up kinetic energy. This energy can be released in a devastating blast which literally tears enemies apart.
Fall back!
Enhancing his role as tank, Dalton can also use the Mag Shield to create portable cover until its magnetic charge is depleted.
Laying down cover!
Let's get back to the story unfolding in Hyperion. While Dalton is the team's leader, the team doesn't always heed his orders. From the beginning of the game, we see tension between the team members as they argue about how to solve problems. In Hyperion Base, Overstrike 9 eventually finds a Fuse source before Raven. Here's what happens early on when Dalton orders his team to destroy the source of Fuse in Hyperion.
Oh man, I'm getting all sorts of bad vibes from this thing.
What do you reckon? Plague? Chemical weapon?
They don't pay me enough to give a shit. Izzy, your show.
Data log's been redacted, but its first entry is dated 1947.
Hey, what did I just say? I don't care if they got Walt Disney's head in there. It's none of our business. Nuke it and let's bug out.
Whoops.
This agent who's decided to ignore Dalton's directive is Izzy Sinclair. Before we see what she's done, let's learn more about her. Izzy bucks authority and basically hates people. Like the other agents, her background isn't pristine. As an information broker, Izzy sold secrets and has a lengthy criminal record. However, thanks to her former profession, she's the group's technical genius. Early in Hyperion, Izzy grabs the Shattergun. The Shattergun is a result of combining Fuse and black melanite. Fuse adheres to the melanite and allows Izzy to crystallize enemies. Enemies will stay in this crystallized form for a few seconds unless they're shattered. As a result, the Shattergun is an excellent crowd control weapon. The Shattergun can also generate crystallized healing beacons which help heal and revive downed teammates, giving Izzy a secondary role as a healer of the group. Here I'm throwing out a healing beacon to help out one of my teammates. Now, a very cool aspect of the beacon is that you can throw at great distances, enhancing Izzy's efficacy as a healer. Okay, now back to the fuse source. Instead of destroying it, Izzy's more interested in seeing what it is.
That does not look like Walt Disney.
That's our third agent, Jacob Kimball, commenting on Fuse in its pure form. Kimball and the team learned that the Fuse source is a highly volatile alien substance recovered from a crash site in the late 1940s. It's been kept secret by the US government so it can be tested, controlled, and weaponized. This alien substance violently fuses with and changes earthly materials into something more. The outcome depends on what Fuse is combined with, but the results are often strange and in all cases lethal. And in the game, you discover it can be made into even bigger weapons, which is why it's so dangerous. Now let's get back to Kimball. Kimball is a former LAPD detective who believes in pursuing what's right at all costs. This often means he's at odds with Dalton.
Taking away their leverage.
You can't kill a senator.
Why not?
In fact, Jacob's lone wolf approach to justice is what got him kicked off the police force, but also makes him perfect for Overstrike.
Do you know what happens to people who kill children? They burn.
What are you doing? You can't do this! You're a fucking job!
Not tonight, asshole.
Back at Hyperion, Jacob picks up the arc shot. The arc shot is a long-range crossbow which combines fuse and liquid mercury. With it, Jacob becomes the distant damage dealer of the group. But thanks to Fuse, the weapon also has a trap function. Jacob can place bolts into enemies or the environment and generate streams of molten mercury which fry any nearby foes. Now let's go back to Hyperion. Even though the Overstrike team gets to the Fuse source ahead of Raven, they find themselves facing overwhelming forces. Here in a standoff between Raven and Overstrike, we're introduced to our fourth agent, Nia Devereaux.
His heart is racing. Should we see what it looks like? Dalton, what are you doing?
Like Dalton, Nia also has ties to Raven. Before joining Overstrike, she worked with her father, Luther Devereaux, as part of a team of assassins until Luther sold out to Raven. The relationship between Luther and Nia is a key part of the Overstrike story. Here's a scene from later in the game where Luther and Nia are reunited.
You always were the stubborn type.
Dad?
This isn't how I imagined it. You in a cell and me as the jailer. I always thought we'd stay a team.
You stopped being a team when you decided to partner up with psychopaths.
The us against the world days were nice, but they ended. Longevity in this line of work unfortunately depends on taking on partners. If you could have seen that, you'd be out here with me, instead of in a jail cell waiting to die.
Once again, back in Hyperion, Nia picks up the warp rifle. It combines fuse and antimatter to generate singularities. When players pump enemies full of the fuse antimatter mixture, a black hole appears and rips enemies apart. Nia can also tag enemies with the warp rifle and set off a chain of black holes. As a result, the warp rifle is an excellent area of effect weapon. The antimatter fuse combination also allows Nia to temporarily disincorporate and flank enemies, which makes her the group's stealth specialist. Eventually, Raven steals the source of fuse from Hyperion. Armed with fuse weapons, the Overstrike 9 team tracks down Raven across the globe and beyond. Initially, Overstrike must prevent Raven from using the fuse source to develop massive weapons and set off a global arms race that could spin out of control. But that's just a part of the tale. I want to emphasize that our campaign is heavily story-driven with plenty of twists and turns to keep players engaged. Now it's time to go more in depth with some of our gameplay features and explain how fuse, the substance, is at the heart of not just the story, but other aspects of gameplay. Fuse helps make our cooperative play unique. One way it does so is through our Fuse-powered progression system. Now we've got separate skill trees for each character. These trees are powered by Fuse points collected when killing enemies and accomplishing objectives. Earn enough Fuse points, and you're awarded with skill points which can be spent on items in these trees. Let's look at Dalton for an example. Dalton, along with the 3 other characters, has a skill tree divided into 4 branches. First, Xenotech. This is all about the Fuse weapons. And then Survival, which references individual character stats. Weapons. Each character specializes in a particular standard weapon. This branch unlocks new abilities and buffs for those weapons. And finally, the Fuse branch, which adds buffs for Fuse-related abilities you earn in other branches. What's represented by every icon in the skill tree is either a brand new ability or notable improvement to a weapon, character stat, or Fuse-related function. And importantly, there are 3 levels for each of these skills. This means that across all 4 characters there are over 100 things to unlock. Now there's some crossover. For example, all agents have a skill which allow them to increase their max health. However, each agent also possesses unique unlockable skills. For example, only Naya can unlock stealth mode and improvements to the shotgun. These character-specific unlockables create a strong sense of class for each of our heroes. Moreover, there's a lot of customization within each of these classes, allowing players to build the team they want, a team that's suited to their playstyle. Since we're looking at Dalton, let's talk about him. Now I like playing Dalton as a close-range specialist. I want to increase his durability under fire, so I put points into Survival. I also put points into Xenotech to unlock my deployable shield ability. And here's a situation where this build is particularly useful. I'm under heavy fire, but I cover a lot of open ground without going down because I put points into my survival tree. Unfortunately, I'm looking at snipers who are going to kick my ass if I stand still after closing the distance to my targets in the foreground. Fortunately, because of the points I put into Xenotech, I can deploy my mag shield, protecting myself from the snipers while I take care of these foreground soldiers. But perhaps I want a ranged build. Once again, I put points into my Xenotech to unlock my deployable shield. But then, I take advantage of Dalton's preferred weapon, the burst rifle, a medium-range weapon. By putting points into it, I unlock a scope view and enhance its distant damage abilities. This way I can avoid going toe-to-toe, enjoy my portable shield's protection, and use a very effective ranged attack. Another unique feature of the game is that our progression system is unified between our campaign mode and another mode we'll reveal soon. This means that any progress you make in the campaign is applicable in our other mode, and vice versa. As players unlock upgrades, they'll discover lots of new abilities. One major ability that players will achieve by spending points in their Xenotech branch is something we're calling Fusion. Fusion occurs when the alien substance in each weapon becomes unstable. Players can trigger Fusion mode for a short period of time, which unlocks each weapon's full potential. When one player triggers Fusion, all 4 players get the benefit of becoming Fuse-powered wrecking balls. On their own, each Fuse-powered weapon is versatile and powerful, but the game really shines when 4 players work together with their weapons, something we call lethal teamwork. Whether you're playing on your own or with friends, we've designed the game and the classes to play together as a cohesive team. Not only does working together make it easier to take down enemies, it allows you to upgrade your weapons faster through our Fuse-based progression system. Here's an example. I'm playing as Jacob. Dalton is in front of me and is deployed as mag shield. I can shoot through Dalton's shield and earn Fuse points while I remain protected. But what if I'm Dalton? What do I get for helping out my teammates? Are they stealing points I could get? Well, no. When any teammates use my mag shield to get kills, I get Fuse points too. Here's another example. I'm playing Izzy. I crystallize several enemies with my Shattergun. I've set up Dalton perfectly. With one blast from his mag shield, Dalton can waste the enemies far faster than I could. He's getting points, but so am I. Finally, here's a scenario where all 3 players are working together. Izzy crystallizes enemies through Dalton's shield. Jacob, standing nearby, blasts the enemies through Dalton's shield and gets kill points. Here you see things from Izzy's perspective as Jacob blasts the enemies. She's getting points, and now from Dalton's point of view, he's getting points too. As you can see, all three heroes get points from killing these enemies, and in each case, when teammates work together, we make it clear they're getting bigger rewards than they would if they were playing as a lone wolf. Furthermore, we never force teamwork, we simply encourage it. And worth noting is that in addition to our fuse-powered weapons, we provide a wide assortment of standard weapons like machine guns, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, miniguns, shotguns, etc. for players to use. This brings us to our next feature. You're probably familiar with games where once you choose a character, you're locked in. If you want to switch, you got to restart the campaign. Not so in Fuse. With Leap, players can jump between our operatives on the fly. This gives you a lot more choice in how you play the game. It can also confer strategic advantages during combat. Here's an example. I'm playing Naya. I'm facing off against a large number of enemies. Now I could go stealthy and try to flank, but maybe I'm low on Fuse. So, what do? I leap to Dalton. Dalton, with his mag shield, is perfectly equipped to deal with this scenario. Here's another example. Here I am playing as Dalton. By picking specific skills in my progression tree, I've set him up as my tank. And with the shotgun, he's awesome as a close combat guy. But because I've got a close range build, I'm not going to do very well against the enemies above me, enemies who have the high ground. Yet, I can leap to Jacob. Jacob with his arc shots, who I rely on for distant enemies while Dalton draws their fire. And what's great is that I can be planning all this in advance by upgrading each character in a way that best fits how I want to play my team. Leap works fantastic, whether they're 1, 2, or 3 human players. As long as there is always a bot in the game, an opportunity to leap exists. There is of course a lot more the game has to offer, but my goal with this video has been to give you a better idea of what Fuse is all about, to demonstrate how Fuse, this alien substance, drives everything in the game. Fuse is our secret alien tech. It's the volatile substance everyone's after. Fuse is the story driver. But Fuse also has important gameplay ramifications. Fuse powers our experimental weapons. These weapons can be upgraded with Fuse points through our unified progression system, and through progression you can unlock cool new abilities like Fusion Mode, where you become a Fuse-powered wrecking ball. Fuse drives our lethal teamwork, where you can work together to earn Fuse points faster. This of course gives you the chance to unlock abilities faster. And finally, Fuse and the weapons it powers drive our class-based operatives, 4 very different characters with unique skills and personalities. But remember, you're never locked into playing just one. You can leap back and forth between the heroes at will. This is Fuse.